Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. This is the morning show, Stock Market TV. Spencer, JC, Steve with you. Hope you're having a great morning. We got a lot going on today. We are joined by a new guest. You may have seen him on Twitter if you're into the crypto stuff. It is Friday, after all, Crypto Friday. Crypto Burb will join us today at 9, talk Bitcoin seasonality. Very excited for that. If you're watching us on YouTube, do me a quick solid. Hit that thumbs up button for me, please. And thank you. If you're watching us on Twitter, howdy. If you're watching us on stockmarkettv.com, hi, howdy, welcome. All right, let's bring JC. Let's bring in Steve. Let's go.
Now we're back in the saddle. Nice couple of days in New York City. Strazza had some fun. Strazza had a good time.
We all had a good time.
He did. Wait, Steve, how was you guys went out for omakase on Wednesday night, right?
Yeah, this was probably the most efficient city trip I've ever had. Thanks in part to JC's Audible Monday night. We hit all the pizza spots. We did sneak some bagels in at some point.
I appreciate that, by the way. Thank you.
We hit up omakase, which I was a little bit nervous about, but it worked out just fine. It was great. And then we ended up at the Comedy Cellar. We saw Dave Attell and a bunch of other guys who have like Netflix specials. It was hysterical. It was a great show.
Was Jeff R. Curry, was he there?
No.
Oh man, he does all crowd work. I love that guy. Anyway.
I don't think so. But you know Jared Freed? Jewish guy. He's got a Netflix special.
Why? Because I'm Jewish. I'm supposed to know every Jewish comedian.
Yes. And he's hysterical. He had us absolutely dying.
There's a lot of Jewish comedians, so.
And they're good.
They are.
Anyway, it was a great trip. Good seeing you guys again, though. Been a long time.
Likewise. What was your, forget the pizza and the dinners and all that stuff. What about the market itself and the work that we're doing during the day? What stood out the most?
Wait, talking to me?
Cap tech. Tech. It's kind of more of the same. I thought
I really enjoyed the debates that we had. You know, some of us would throw ideas, some of the portfolio accelerator members would throw some ideas. You know, we kind of go back and forth, figure out ways to express that thesis in the market. I thought that was really cool.
Well, the conversations that we had, you know, especially when everybody was participating, like for example, when we did the live option stuff and Steven's throwing out ideas, other guys are throwing out ideas. I thought that was just, you know, great.
Yeah.
And what it spoke to, and I hope made clear for everybody, is that, you know, different trade plans can be the right thing to do for different people, right?
I was telling somebody yesterday. I was telling a trader, very successful trader. I was on the phone with him, Mexican dude, and not a lot of Mexican traders.
Why is that relevant? Oh, okay.
How many Mexican traders do you know?
I don't know.
I know a lot of Jewish traders. I know a lot of Italian traders. Not a lot of Mexican traders. We were bonding in the taco situation. Anyway, I was telling him, I was like, you know, Sean, me, Strazza, you know, the three of us will agree on a trade. We'll agree on the direction. And the three of us will express that thesis in three completely different ways.
Well, there was a moment at the accelerator where we were talking about rig, and I was like, ooh, I really like this. I'm like thinking it through in my head. We're looking at the P&L graph. I'm like, sweet, I love this. And JC's like, you're not going to sell any premium, though. I'm like, no, I'm probably not.
Yeah, it's true.
But that's okay. And I thought, for me, the best part was getting to meet clients like Stephen Weitzel. I've been, you know, talking to these guys for years, and getting to finally, you know, meet them in person was really special.
I had never met Steven. I thought you had hooked up with, Sean hooked up with Steven.
No, I never
was the
did.
only one who had met him.
Never did.
All right, let's talk markets. Hit that bumper there, Spencer.
Alrighty then.
All right, so I think here's a good place to start. Let's start with slide 1 there, Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the Russell 3000 index, which represents approximately 98% of all investable assets in the U.S. equities market. Closed at the highest level in history yesterday. Tell me why we shouldn't care, Strazza.
You should definitely care. This is
Yeah.
This is one of the best indexes. It's still cap weighted, but among the cap weighted indexes, this is it. Yeah. This
about 90. Now here's why I don't want to care too much.
okay.
I'm not saying we shouldn't care.
Weightings.
But here's why I don't think we should care that much. 93% of this index is the Russell 1000.
See, the cap weight, yeah, right. But
The
any are
Russell
like
2000 is such an irrelevant segment of the Russell 3000. So when you talk about 98% of all investable assets, while that is true, does it tell the whole story? Ready? 6% Apple, 6% Microsoft, 3% Amazon, 2.5% Nvidia, 2% Google. Oh, sorry. It's like 3 and change percent Google, 1.5 Meta, 1.5 Tesla, 1.5 Berkshire. Sound familiar?
yeah, it's the same heavy weightings.
Heavy weighting.
EQAL is an equal weighted Russell 1000. That one's really good.
EQAL. Yeah. I like how they did that there. Equal.
So you put the kibosh on your own chart.
I didn't put the kibosh. I'm just telling it like it is. I mean,
So of course this makes sense. If it's cap weighted and the S&P's at all time highs, then so will the Russell 3000.
right.
There's nothing groundbreaking.
there's
here.
nothing groundbreaking here. That's right. So
Okay.
is it a negative for the equities market that the Russell 3000 is hitting new all-time highs? I would say definitely not. Now, how good is it? How positive is it? How bullish is this? I don't know. How bullish really is it? You know, it's lagging some of the others because the weightings in these companies that we went over are smaller than they are in the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 that's already been making new all-time highs. So it's lagging slightly for good reason. When you reverse engineer what's in it, shouldn't it be lagging?
Yeah.
By a little bit, yeah. If it's got the other stuff,
It should be lagging by a little bit. And as it turns out, that's exactly what's happening. It's lagging by a little bit. Right? So I think that makes sense. So I think it's important to kind of put things in perspective there.
Why is the Russell 3000 not talked about as much, do you think?
How many times is the New York Stock Exchange Composite talked about?
Yeah, that's true.
The New York Stock Exchange Composite, I mean, is right up there with the most important indexes. Half of it's international companies. It's a very diversified group.
Maybe that's why.
I feel like most people don't even know that half the stocks on the New York Stock Exchange aren't even American.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think the New York Stock Exchange Composite is actually a great one. Again, who talks about the New York Stock Exchange Composite?
Yeah, I mean, besides you.
Hey, when you're done with state of the markets, I got a good question topic.
Okay, I just wanted to mention one more thing. Do you have the link? I think I dropped it in the research. The link to the Dow Jones documentary that was shot in the 90s.
Spencer,
When did you drop it
drop
in
it
there?
in the research chat like
Dropped
last
in the
week.
research chat. It was kind of like it was
Friday
well
night.
done for the time, but it's kind of a little janky now, 30 years later or 25 years later.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, no, that's something different. Sorry.
It's in there. It's in the research chat.
Okay.
Drop it in the
right.
in the chat. One of the
I'm
things that
scrolling.
they talk about in the documentary, they're talking about the Dow Jones Industrial Average and how important it is. And I'm like, yeah, tell them. One of the guys, I forget who it was, old school. He's like, when you walk around town and you ask somebody where the New York Stock Exchange Composite closed today, they're gonna look at you like you have 6 heads. Ask them what the Dow did today; they'll know. Everybody knows the Dow. I thought that was kind of funny.
Found it. The Wizards of Wall Street.
That's it. No, is that it?
Yes.
Is it?
That Dow and Jones, the Wizards of Wall Street.
That's it. So, janky documentary shot in the 90s. But it was just I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. Just understand what you're watching, when it was shot, all those things. You'll recognize some of the faces on the documentary too.
All right, I just dropped it in the chat. That's fun. I'll check that out.
Let's Strazza's got a question. Let's run down the markets real quick. Mostly flat this morning. Dow futures down 40 points, pretty much flat. S&P 500 futures totally flat. Nasdaq 100 futures down 30 basis points. Bond futures flat, gold flat, silver flat, copper flat, oil down 1%, and the dollar down here with the volatility index hanging around 13.5, and U.S. 10-year yields right around 4.1%, just slightly higher. And of course, the funny money.
So oil giving a little back, but it's been a good week.
Yeah, it has. Bitcoin up 1,200 points, 3%, up to 41,000. Big move there overnight. And then, of course, on the old Ether, you've got up about 1%, 22.5 or so. And Solana, right around 90, up 4.5% on the session. Total crypto market cap, 1.55 trillion.
I just want to throw out, if you felt like you missed the crypto and the train left the station last year, ETH couldn't be at a better place to start a position. Still, right?
Yeah.
Crypto people. That one stands out as highly actionable.
Okay. Yeah. What's your question?
A lot of buzz this morning about Microsoft $3 trillion party.
Yeah.
So Microsoft about 3 trillion, Apple about 3 trillion. After that, though, quite a drop off. Yeah. I think we go to 1.9 trillion next, which is the Google, and then Amazon comes in at about 1.6. Nvidia, which has added like 400 billion in market cap over the past like 2.5 weeks, is at 1.5, breathing down their necks. And then it's Meta at 1 trillion. So who will the next $3 trillion company be? Choose your fighter.
Google.
Not Nvidia?
Nah, Google.
Well, let's see.
Google's got more shit going on. Nvidia's more of a pure play in semiconductors. So if you're betting on,
it might be a good thing to be a pure play.
Agreed.
In the space they're in.
Agreed.
Nvidia it's one of those. Yeah. Okay. It's one of those two for me. I think it'll be interesting. If Nvidia, if the answer is Nvidia, it probably happens faster. Right. If it's Google, it might take it probably takes a few years. I wouldn't be surprised if Nvidia just, continues to shock us and gets there kind of quick. If this growth doesn't slow down anytime soon, you could see how that happens by next year even. So
the wild card here for me would be Meta. If the metaverse ends up being like a thing, like an actual thing, then the
metaverse has been a thing. We've lived in the metaverse for 15 years, 16 years.
No, but a widely adopted thing.
It is widely adopted. What do you think this whole Twitter, FinTwit, YouTube thing is? That's all the metaverse. We're in the metaverse. We're in the metaverse right now.
Web 2.0. I'm talking about Web 3.0.
Who just announced the big layoffs? I saw another round of big tech layoffs.
Like Microsoft. Well, Activision. Microsoft Activision.
Good.
So not a total stunner. I am seeing. I think Salesforce today or yesterday. I want to say. We're seeing a notable increase in. The tech layoffs come in waves, right? And when it's tech, it gets more headlines, right? Because it's tech. And we're seeing another wave here a little bit.
These are AI related. These are efficiency layoffs.
They are.
No one's saying that though. These tech companies right-sized themselves in 22 and 23, early 23. Like this is AI taking jobs. And the
more layoffs, the better.
Yeah, sure.
This is companies realizing. Not taking job maybe so much as realizing shit. This AI stuff is expensive. Mm-hmm. We gotta tighten the belt a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep, not cheap.
What does Nvidia selling their chips for? Like $30,000 a pop, something like that.
It's crazy. They're so expensive.
This is madness. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Can we talk about speaking of tech? Can we talk about Intel for a sec?
Please.
we talked about this yesterday because the stock chart looks great. Today's price action is going to be fabulously interesting to me.
Good old
because
Intel.
What is a more powerful force, the recent trend or shitty guidance? Because that's the question today.
Guidance.
Right? Because you have
the market's telling you. The market just gave you your answer.
Well, at 8:47 in the morning, sure, right? But
down 10%.
Yeah. Again, to quote someone else, let them dance. But no, you've got Intel earnings out last night. Earnings are fine. Guidance was not. Guidance was very light. So you have a stock in a huge uptrend. It's been ripping for the past few months. What did we say yesterday, JC? 10-year highs. Was that right?
No.
And now they come in guidance well below. I mean, not just below, like well below expectations. 13 cents versus a 33-cent EPS estimate for the current quarter. That's not good. So this morning, you're right, Steve. It is the guidance. But let's see what happens today. I'm very interested in Intel, just in observing the price action.
There are now 5 other companies in Intel's group larger than Intel. No one would have guessed that 10, 20 years ago. It wasn't close for a very long time. It was not even
shareholders have spoken, right?
Mm-hmm. Days are numbered in the Dow. That's for sure.
We've been saying that for a long time.
I'm shocked it's still in there.
Spencer, what's been going on? So Crypto Friday, so very excited to talk about crypto. So we don't need to get into that quite yet. What did we what's going on this morning? Any big numbers that we need to not care about?
In terms of data, no, the big number was yesterday.
Did you guys talk about the GDP?
Well, I mean a little bit. Yeah, we big beat on that GDP print yesterday. So we did cover it just a smidgen. No numbers today. I don't think. No, it's the end of the month. There's no real numbers at the end of the month. It's all early month stuff, right? So in terms of what I was watching this morning, PayPal, man. What was it last week? I think it was last week. The CEO came out and said January 25th, we're going to shock the world. That's what he said last week. And they did not.
Nobody was shocked, apparently.
They did not shock the world yesterday. They released a video talking about, and I watched it, frankly, rather incremental product changes, and with maybe a dash of AI, just a smidgen of AI sprinkled in there, right, for good measure. So, but nothing groundbreaking out of this PayPal announcement.
Their current CEO is clearly trying his best, but this guy's only been leading the company for like 3.5 months now.
Listen, not to get all fundamental on you guys, but does anybody use PayPal?
Yeah, I do.
What?
I don't. Well,
it's like
they own Venmo, JC.
Yeah.
All right, you still use Venmo?
I use both of them.
Honestly. What do you use Venmo for?
I use Venmo.
Send money to my girlfriend, pay for my haircuts at the barber.
You pay for your haircuts using Venmo?
Dude, a lot of barbers use Venmo. I do that.
Don't they use Squire?
I'll pay.
This is the barber app?
Handyman.
My barber uses Squire.
Venmo. What?
They all use Squire.
I don't know what Squire is.
Maybe.
Well, you're not a barber. Yeah, Squire is like the Slice. You know, the Slice app. It's like the Slice app for barbers.
Oh, okay.
All I'm saying, it gets used out there in the wild.
Apparently, it does not.
I use Venmo. I don't use PayPal.
I don't think anybody's using any of that shit. I think Apple Pay. I only use Apple Pay. I don't even use my credit card. In fact, I lost my American Express like 3 months ago, and I still haven't replaced it.
Apple
That's
Pay,
a true story.
Apple Pay is your credit card, is it not?
It's your credit card on Apple Pay.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, so you're using your
right. But a lot of people, including myself, and I've had this conversation with others, that used to use PayPal when you buy things online because it was all saved and easy to do. Now it's like 6 fewer buttons, and you use Apple Pay.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because that's what PayPal was talking about yesterday. How they're going to how they're reducing checkout times by like 40%.
It's too late. You're done. But, you're a zero. You stuck. Go away. Goodbye.
Yeah. No. Anyway, when you say you're going to shock the world, you better shock the world. And this was not.
If you're going to shock the world, then don't tell them that you're about to try to shock them. Just shock them, stupid.
Yeah, that's also true.
Right? Like I had this party bus on Monday planned for months. I didn't tell you guys, right? I shocked the world.
You did not. You did not.
No, that was for the moment. I was like pulling into the Lincoln Tunnel, and I'm like, I spoke to Strazza. I was like, we should get a party bus tonight, right? Yeah, I literally called him right after I got off the phone with you.
Before I got onto my plane, I think you kind of came up with the idea of the pizza tour. And by the time I got off, you're like, yeah, the party bus gets here at 6:30.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Good.
So Strazza's brother was hanging out with us for happy hour. Strazza's brother, not in finance. And he's like after the party bus and all that stuff, he's texting Strazza. He's like, dude, what did he say? I want to be a finance bro. This is great.
Best happy hour ever. I want to be one of the finance bros.
That's really funny. Can you throw up here, throw this guy up right here. This is a good one. Just to kind of put things in perspective. Let's do slide 1 here. All right, go ahead. This is the New York Stock Exchange composite. See that?
Well, it fits with all those international charts that look good, right? If you're saying it's half international.
What about the American ones?
Well, that too, but I'm talking about all the other random. You remember when was it the last conference call or no? It was in New York. You were just not you, Alfonso, was just ripping through the international indexes, right?
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Good. So this fits with that theme.
New York Stock Exchange composite, underrated index, underrated, very diversified. A lot of these stocks are outside of the United States. You could argue these are the most important companies in the world. It's funny, Jay Woods, floor governor of the New York Stock Exchange, good friend of ours, comes on the show all the time, was telling me that, what was his name? Dick Grasso. He ran the New York Stock Exchange for years. He had saved, before Macy's took it, he had saved the letter M for Microsoft, and every year would call Gates and be like, you got the letter M right on the New York Stock Exchange, come on down. And Gates never took him up on his offer because he wanted to stay true to the exchange that took him public. So that's why Microsoft is still on the NASDAQ, even though Dick Grasso did what he did to save the letter M to give him a single letter ticker.
Well, you know what? That letter M is going to be available soon. So.
I was waiting for JCP to be available for many years. Still is.
Yeah, it is.
Still is.
It is. It is still available. Yeah.
If managing an ETF wasn't they weren't such shitty margins and it wasn't such a bad business, I would probably do it.
My initials are not available. Oh wait, no, yes they are. I think they must have gotten taken over. That's cool. All right.
So you're saying there's a chance. The Spencer Israel ETF. I'm sure they'll have plenty of inflows.
Well, it's SJI. It used to be South Jersey Industries, but they look like they got taken over. So
South Jersey Industries. That doesn't sound shady at all.
I don't know what they do. I have no idea what they do.
I'm sure they do a lot of things. I'm sure they make a lot of offers people can't refuse.
Good enough to get taken over by somebody, looks like. So
when you need some muscle.
Yeah, right. That dude, South Jersey? Come on, no. That's North Jersey. All right. It's 8:56 here. We're gonna talk crypto and crypto seasonality here in a couple minutes. What else was on? What else was on the list? The top of mind list this morning. A lot of earnings. We're not going to cover nearly all of them, obviously. But credit cards are out. Visa, American Express. Who else did we have here that interested me?
Are we in the heart of earnings season, would you say?
I would say so. Next week is the big one.
Next week is big tech, no?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the middle.
So what does big tech mean? What does that include? Includes the tech companies and the ones that are not tech, but we think they are?
Most of the Mag 7 reports in the same week.
Yep. It's the whole Mag 7 except for Tesla.
Is that done on purpose?
Good question.
No different than how the banks, all report at the same time.
Because they might as well, because Wells Fargo says something, it's going to impact JP Morgan. Goldman says something, it's going to impact, right? So they might as well just throw them all out there.
That's probably it. There's something to that, I would say.
Yeah, that probably makes sense.
It's just the way it is.
Anybody care that small caps are outperforming big time this morning?
I mean,
oh yeah, I saw your email. Yeah, no, I do think it's interesting.
Did you like that email?
I do care. I have probably not enough small cap. I mean, most people. Who am I kidding? Most people don't have enough small cap exposure. So,
recency bias is part of that.
would you guys?
Yeah, recency bias being 15 years, right? So,
What'd you guys think about what I said about value stocks?
It's been a long time for large caps.
At the index level, perhaps. What's that, Strazza?
Yeah, that's something.
What do you guys think about what I was saying about value stocks the other
What
day?
were you saying about value stocks?
In the sector presentation? The ratio, the relationship of growth versus value, or even value versus broader benchmark like the S&P might not look good. If you look at S&P 500 value, looks like Microsoft chart. Plenty of good
Microsoft isn't that a big component?
I don't know if it still is, but these guys did sneak into some of these value indexes late 2022.
How exactly does that work?
Russell 1000 value index, largest component: Berkshire Hathaway, JP Morgan, Exxon, J&J, Procter & Gamble, Chevron, Bank of America, Merck, Walmart, Intel.
They use a basket of valuation metrics.
Oh, a basket. They use all the ratios.
Probably.
Cool.
So many ratios. So many distractions to what matters the most, right?
Value stocks don't have to pay dividends.
While you were gone, we were talking with Mike Singleton yesterday. He agrees with you on the growth value, focusing more on high beta, low vol. He's with you on that.
Yeah, I think you know how I feel.
And we were laughing because remember last time he was on, he was bearish, bearish economy, bearish, just in general, but buying semiconductors and home builders, and you were like, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Oh, you break his balls a little bit?
He kind of came.
It worked.
He kind of came around. He came around on that.
It worked. Well,
yeah, I mean, it could have been a great call, just X the recession part of it,
Yeah, well, what matters is he was buying homies and semis, and that worked.
How he got there doesn't matter, right?
Doesn't matter. Why does it matter? He nailed it. So it was funny because I remember you specifically like, what was that all about?
Yeah.
And Strazza, he came around. He came around on the recession.
Well, I would love to ask him because we went from a place in 22 where recession was consensus, and then we didn't get it. And a lot of people kept that call into 23, and now they've all turned. And now no recession is very, very
understand this obsession with the recession. Who gives
I don't either,
fuck?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Recessions are a choice for most of us.
Allow this as a thought exercise, please. I get it. But we went from a place, consensus recession. Now the pendulum has completely swung to the other side. Consensus, no recession. So I think it's important for everybody to be aware of the narrative of the environment that we're operating in, right? Because God forbid it does start to look like a recession's coming, and it doesn't. To be super clear, the data continues to move in the opposite direction. Yesterday's GDP print speaks to that. But you never know. It's a long year. We're in month 1, so we'll see.
Have you ever, you know what, JC? Here's an analogy, and then we'll bring on our guest. Remember, like the other day in New York, in the hotel, and the fire alarm went off, and the fire alarm goes off all the time in New York. You were saying, have you ever been in a situation, not like Wednesday, but where the fire alarm goes off, and you're really not sure if there's a fire, and everyone's looking around, and you're like, "Is there a fire?"
Well, here's the thing. In the old days, these things used to go off every day, and they would go off multiple times a day, and we only had a finite amount of time in the day, and like everybody leaves for half an hour, then they go get coffee. You lose an hour of your day.
Yeah.
But we were on like the 20-something floor, 30-something floor. So that's a problem. Yeah. We were on the ground floor. So if there's a fire, if there actually was a fire, and obviously I was like, everybody sit still, there's no fire. There's a fire in the building, get out.
No. But what I'm saying, when the moment when you're looking around, everyone's kind of looking around like should we? Is there a problem? Like, is this bad? And that's what this is. It's the same thing. Everyone's kind of looking at the other people, being like, recession.
I like the analogy. I like the analogy.
Right?
Spencer.
And 99% of the time, it's not bad, but that 1%.
So what you're saying is the fire marshal alarms in the hotel are like economists.
Yeah.
I guess
They're
so.
alarmists.
I guess that is what I'm saying.
They're alarmists.
They're alarmists.
Hey, that's
So
good.
the fire alarm goes off, and JC was like, "No, you're all going to sit here and look at my charts and burn. We're all going to burn together." Then we see like a fire marshal and firemen walking out around.
There's no firemen.
What
firemen?
What causes this phenomena to continue to occur in these New York City office buildings? Are people just like smoking weed in the bathroom? Like, why do they go off so much? Because I understand. I've been
well, there's a lot of people in these buildings, so someone does something stupid all the time. I mean, it's just a law of numbers. Some of these buildings are just really old, so they just have like just dilapidated. I used to work in the Helmsley building. The Helmsley building, like, I mean, there were like mafia murders there, like in the 20s and shit, right? Like, I mean, these are old buildings.
When I used to work in the Deloitte building, I'd like to think it's like some young auditor wasn't ready for a meeting, just pulls it.
Yeah, Lucky Luciano's a big famous murder took place there, right on the 19th floor, right where I used to work.
All right, good. Are we ready to talk to Adrian?
Let's do it.
We are Adrian Zduńczyk, CMT, aka Crypto Burb on Twitter, and he's here to talk some Bitcoin seasonality. So let's bring him on the show.
Nice. Yo, Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Oh, what's up, Adrian?
Yo,
what's up, legends?
What's going on? Where are you
these days? Adrian.
Oh man, I'm in a tornado of travels. I've just touched down in France, in Van Torrens, French Alps. There's like some crazy stuff that I don't really know what that is. So Binance, we're partnered up with Binance. They're our partners at the Burb Nest, and Binance is the leading, crypto exchange, and they very, very deeply engage in the relationship with the people they care about, and it's mutual. So they send us on some sort of like a weekend camp into French Alps, God knows where, for, if I'm not mistaken, F1 ice racing, something like that.
Are you serious?
Well, I don't know.
That sounds safe.
I'm about to find out. Right. One of the conditions was to get the insurance. So my dear wife made sure.
Is there a sentiment read there though, Adrian? Is this stuff they do in bear markets and bull markets? Like, are you going to F1 races in bear markets too?
Yes. I mean, for like this applies to any business, right? Sentiment in terms of sentiment and the business likes behind the markets. So, most of the businesses go out of business because of overspending, right? So, in the bear markets, towards the end of the bear market, when the lag effect starts, just kind of like taking a toll, the businesses start operating slower, so they kind of like take off a little bit of the heat, let's say, of the spending or overspending. Otherwise, they are gigantic enterprises, and they are successful for a couple of reasons. When there's a leading biggest crypto exchange in the world, they are biggest for a reason. They don't wake up biggest just randomly like a snap of a finger. So they're a good business eventually, right? This is not they're not paying me to say that. I'm just commenting on that.
Do you think they eventually follow the path of Coinbase and try to regulate themselves and operate in the US again?
Good question. I might ask them downstairs when I walk down.
I mean, I'm curious because I'm locked up now. I have Binance US. It all kind of changed like a year ago.
Good question. I mean, so again, I may just speculate a little bit. There are so many mistakes that I make every single day. Probably, it's a gigantic market share. So I don't imagine any business, wouldn't like to basically just leave it and forget about it, right? So again, there's so many things I don't know, so I take it with a grain of salt. My very understanding of what was happening around the regulations is like in most of the countries, they don't give you regulations, and then they punish you for not giving you the regulations in the first place. Right. So you have to comply with something you have no idea what that is, because they could not define, because they are outdated laws and regulations from like 1950s. So that was the case in Poland. And when the first 2017, when there was first big heat wave for crypto, that kind of like made it to the mainstream in Poland, there were some extremely ridiculous, exotic situations where the crypto would be accounted for in a similar fashion to real estate transactions, out of which each and every single transaction they would charge you 1% tax, right? 1 or 2%, regardless. Each and every single transaction. So if you were an algo trader, make tens of thousands of trades a year, they would charge you 1% on each transaction, and they would have to report in paper each and every single transaction. So there were people coming to the tax authority office with those effing big piles of paper, just smashing it under the desk of the poor lady that was sitting there at the reception, and no one knew what to do about it. And if you didn't do it, they punished you.
And it was near impossible to find an accountant that you could hire to help with it too. Nobody wanted to touch it.
It was. Luckily, I've met. It took me a lot of years, though. I met incredible lawyers, incredible accountants, and they are incredible, not only because they're great personalities. They are called 3 dots for what is what. Again, they're not paying me that. This is just my honest review. Those are the first people that I ever got a chance to explain, and they would understand. And there was complexity, of course, right? And they would understand because they are crypto folks. They're crypto bros. They're crypto native people who are lawyers. They are not lawyers who read a book about blockchain and know a thing or two. They are people who are into crypto. They know the problems inside out, right? They're the people who consult to the regulators. And, and on top of that, they're lawyers, and they're very passionate. So they have incredible blockchain knowledge. They're, betting on the future. They're in the industry actively, and they are contributing to the law. So, shout out to them. There are not many of those guys. You're right, Steve.
Adrian, let's hit the charts. But before we do, I find your journey into technical analysis really interesting. When I first found out about you on Twitter, you were kind of like in this group of new crypto influencers, like not sure if we could trust this guy. Now you're a CMT, like so legit. You're doing
one of us.
What made you? How did you get to that decision? Talk to us about your journey to the CMT.
Yeah, one of us, JC. Huh? I love it. Love it.
I love it too. I'm into
it. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Michael Naus, look, show the beard. Show the beard, Adrian. Show the beard. You see that, Michael Naus? Look at that. That's how to do it, baby.
Michael,
That's how to do it.
No. We had the competition with Michael. No one beats Michael. Sorry.
Really? All right. You're gonna give him this one? All right. We'll give him this.
Well, he's more handsome. He's all for it.
He's Canadian, so
that I have
is
beard. So
I like Canadians.
Mike's beard is so long it gets stuck in the zipper sometimes.
Oh, man, it does. Of course it does. Of course it does.
Adrian's like, yeah, me too.
And it's painful. Yeah, the story. So story is it's an introspective story, right? It's gonna be very, very short. Most of the time I shut up basically and I listen to people because all of a sudden when I did CMT, I realized that I'm the dumbest fucking person in the room. That there are so many people who are incredibly smart that I should just shut up and listen to, because they have so much more to say. They have so much more experience, So that kind of like the CMT taught me it was a path to discover my own biases, to make me aware of my own mistakes, that I hadn't even known I was making, So it brought to me the awareness, and the awareness is just the first step, that I'm making into this aware kind of like aware episode of my life. And I've just turned, well, not just, I've like 5 months ago, I turned 30, right? I'm just 30. My hairstyle may,
you're so old.
my hairstyle may tell, I'm 57, but I'm 30, and I'm learning. So I'm all for learning, man. And CMT was a great eye-opening experience. Lack of information, the why was the lack of information, right? I started reading books, of course, John Murphy and so on, Steve Neeson, and there were not many good materials that were about crypto, right? And I really wanted to learn about crypto, but there were only, basically the people who exposed you to scams. They were only the people who kind of like showed you some crap. They were only people who randomized, completely put together some random data out of what they thought rather than evidence-based. That their opinions, they put together some numbers just to prove their opinions, which were wrong. All right. So on top of that, you had lack of proper regulations, lack of sufficient regulations. So you didn't really know what to do well. So we kind of like had to take over the steering wheel yourself and do it everything by yourself, because otherwise there was no one to help you. All right. And helping myself navigate, on the psychological basis, on the number basis, on the chart basis, was I think the very turning point in my life, right? And I did that in 2019 for the first level. 2020 was the second one. That I failed in 2021 December. I think I failed the CMT level 3 exam, which was interesting. Again, quite an interesting point, because those gaps between those exams, were quite significant. Right, as in, it's a significant leap of a journey between those levels to graduate between those levels.
Yep.
And that journey is what matters, right? Before that, before CMT level 1, I would have read, again, 10 books, 15 books about technical analysis. I'm like, yeah, I'm easy, what is that, like, easy?
Yeah.
And I barely made it for level 1, as far as I remember, or I cannot remember the details, but I struggled. Right. And then I did study, a whole big book break, onto CMT level 2. Same case. I barely made it, CMT level 3. First time I failed, then I studied even harder, made it, eventually. So it was a big turning point. It's a path of discovering myself, teaching me more about myself and how wrong I am and how often I'm wrong and mistaken, versus what it would teach me about the world outside. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think that's great. Thanks. There's a lot of aspiring CMTs who watch this show, and it's just valuable for them to hear about other people's kind of paths to the profession.
Can we get enough with this love fest between the two of you? Can we get to the charts, please?
JC needs charts. It's been 10 minutes. He's freaking out.
Sir.
I think we all do. Adrian agrees, right? Adrian, tell him. It's time for the charts.
Right on. Would you like me to share a couple?
Please.
Do we have them on the deck, Spencer?
I don't think so. I can share them. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I can send it. I can share them.
Just share your screen, Adrian.
Yeah,
That's probably easier.
Okay, on it. So,
by the way, nice work in the fall with Jeff Hirsch, a friend of ours. We were just actually with him a couple days ago. Looking good, Jeff Hirsch. Looking
good.
svelte.
Jeff is a legend.
Yeah. So I like what you guys did there together. That was good. Speaking of bromance, that was a nice little collabo there.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a bromance. You're right. Jeff, listen, Jeff is such an excellent professional. There is no way anyone could ever have any sort of like hostility to him. He's awesome. He's just
you'd
awesome.
be surprised.
You'd be surprised. Okay. Let's see what he says. Still, the long-term chart, BLX Bitcoin Liquidity Index, the things that I had with Jeff when we started working, because same reason. I told him, hey, listen, like I've got all of those stock traders almanacs, I've read for a couple of those, and I'm like, bro, why there's no crypto thing, right? So let's put together something to start off, to see where it goes, and just maybe we put together some crypto almanac, if you will. And that started off as the article, Bitcoin Seasonality article, and coming from the godfather of seasonality himself, that was an excellent experience. And data proficiency is lack of data proficiency is one of the key points, right, to tackle, because there is not one main data vendor, right? And each and every single index, each and every single exchange would show different pricing. So we have to be very careful with drawing too specific conclusions overall, or be very specific about the exchanges we do. Still, for this very index, it is the earliest recorded index from July 2010 for the first listings that listed the first Bitcoin prices overall, and it shows the liquidity kind of like path eventually over the years. And conclusions, I'm not going to comment on the future too much, because I have no idea what's going to happen in the future. What I can comment on is on the left hand side, and what I know is that this is the 5th bull market, and it's not me saying that, it's the 200-day moving average moving up and climbing, which basically, by the consistency and discipline of turning up and persisting in this direction, confirms it's a bull market. Right? There is nothing to argue. 2023 was a big delusion I think, to many traders because they kept, overlooking the 2022 bearishness, the 2022 bearish market setup with the 200-day trend, just falling all the time. And they got stuck with it so much, they got endowed to it and so conservative to it that they missed out the fact that the 200-day trend was moving up already, for like 10 months or so. So consecutive month, almost a year of moving up on average. There's no way to argue it's a bull market or a bear market. It's clear. The market tells you the direction. The fourth halving cycle. Halving is an historical event that is embedded in the Bitcoin's protocol from the coding, from the cryptography perspective right there as well, right? Coding and the whole protocol. I'm not an IT geek, so I'm not going to explain it. However, each and every single 200,000 blocks mined for Bitcoin, there is a pre-assigned, pre-embedded halving event where the mining rewards go down by half, right? So it means there is this incremental, massive overnight change in the supply availability, in the scarcity per coin, right? Demand per coin, gets up because the supply per coin gets shrunk, I should say, sorry. What that means is that when there's less of it or it's less available, we want it more by the psychology. And then on top of that, the fundamental event of this halving that is timed for mid-April this time, the fourth halving, aligns with the bull market. So you have the halving cycle, which is dictated by the protocol itself, and you have the bull market cycle, which is superposition. There's imposure, combination of those two factors. So that's one thing. That's two things. Another thing is the overall seasonal tendency of the election year, right? That we have with the current president setup running for the re-election. That is something that I of course stole from Jeff Hirsch. Shout out to this legend. To 12.8% for the S&P 500 is the outperformance by roughly 20-30% of a typical aggregated cycle performance for the S&P. So we're talking not only extremely good candidate that turned out right last year for the pre-election years, right? 95% right on the time over the 84 years or so, 90 or 20, and we've got the election year, which is also exceptionally abnormally strong because of the conditions, right? So Jeff always puts this, I'm going to paraphrase it because Jeff's always put this so much better than I could ever do. By choosing something that we know, by having a known choice, as in two presidents that we are familiar with, I'm not a US guy, by the way, two presidents that we're familiar with, we're presented with familiar choice. Familiar choice means less uncertainty, means less risk aversion, means more risk exposure, more likely than not.
We've seen it.
And we've seen it, right? So there's an overall bull market trend. Well, needless to say, S&P 500, Dow Jones, all of that, is just common. And Bitcoin over the years, alongside this long-term trend, this long-term chart, I'm going to show up another one in a second. Bitcoin has been climbing. Bitcoin has been climbing very aggressively in terms of the correlation between the stock market and Bitcoin itself, right? So the correlation, just to show the number in a second. There you go. I love your charts, by the way. So the correlation between the Bitcoin and S&P 500, or even more so between Bitcoin and Nasdaq, over the last 8 years or so, strengthened by, we're talking 400%, 500%, on a long-term basis. And I'm talking like 200 weeks, 52-week averages and so on. So there is a lot of direction. There's an overall bias in the direction, and it goes up. Over the last years, basically Bitcoin gets more and more glued, to the stocks. Well, so if that happens, if there is positive environment from the stock market, then by the means of correlation, right, covariance and so on, there is a chance that Bitcoin is going to benefit from it as well. So we have the intermarket aspect to the positive expectation for this year as well, right? And then, yes, Steve, because I rambled too much.
You think it's just a coincidence that these halvings that spark new crypto bull markets coincide with bull markets for the stock market and other risk assets?
Because the way I look at it, Adrian, is the equities market benefiting from this Bitcoin halving? Probably not.
Yeah, right? Probably. Well, that probably that might be a little bit arguable, right? Because to some extent, people, to some extent, I'm gonna switch on the screen, share this tab instead. To an extent, because Bitcoin, by so many traders, by so many investors, is also considered a risk barometer, right? It's a little bit like a VIX, if you will. It's a risk appetite barometer. So like XLY, XLP, relative strength ratio. You may also track Bitcoin, and this is very often, since it was this very speculative asset, this would show you the hunger and an appetite for the speculation to a large extent. So by observing Bitcoin and inflow into money, especially with DTFs coming, there is at least, I might be wrong, there's at least a chance that the liquidity in the market overall is going to improve, because the money that would never flow would be without Bitcoin. Imagine there are all Bitcoin hungry investors that Bitcoin had always been this first encounter to any financial market entrance. They would start putting in and flowing in their money into, let's say, ETFs, BlackRock, whatever, right? And well, guess what? They have to park their profits somewhere eventually, right? So they're going to park it somewhere else. Just maybe if they've done an ETF, maybe they're going to have another ETF by BlackRock, right? Maybe they're going to have, other iShares and so on. So there is a chance it boosts the overall liquidity from the risk appetite side, right? However, those are the green and the from the qualitative perspective, the green on top and the purple, pink, if you will, on the bottom, they are the correlation, long-term correlation, 200-week correlation averages. There's a 52-week correlation, that is the thick black curve, on top and on the bottom, between Bitcoin and S&P on top, and Bitcoin and Nasdaq on composite index on the bottom, right? And there is 200-week average out of this. Just out of curiosity, I played around in and see what happened, right? Well, and there is a direction. There is a clear direction that just goes up over the years,
and it's strengthened over time. No,
yeah, and and like I said, those are of course very, very long average data. So there's going to be some insensitivity overall, right, and a very big lag. Still, there's a trend, and this trend is not something that could be refuted because it's there, right? So we're talking about those long-term trends. Now there is also this, some traders would say, this 50 to 100 week, bullish golden cross on the weekly basis for the first time ever, which is, something to just maybe, boost someone's ego who's in a long position. Otherwise, there are a lot of factual cases, right? As in, Bitcoin is just an interesting, asset class because of its, 50% annualized volatility, for instance, versus anywhere between, again, different sources, between 70 and 100% annualized returns, if you will. So positive Sharpe ratio, better than the S&P. S&P last time I checked was 1.53. And another one for Bitcoin, it was 1.65, if I remember. So it serves pretty well as a, the capital works really well when put in Bitcoin, even though there are a lot of drawdowns. And of course, that's for the drawdowns, we need the technical analysis and systematic approach to trading rather than just buy and hold. Though the fact side is that each and every single halving brought massive rallies, right? We're talking 90x, we're talking 30x, we're talking 7x. On the previous three halvings, we have got the fourth one coming in exactly, in less than 3 months. So that's fact number one. And fact number two is that Bitcoin never returned to the halving prices. Right?
How many more halvings are there? How many more halvings are there, Adrian?
Well, it's gonna be until probably 2,100 something. 200,000 something. Jesus Christ, 2,100 something year is where technically fundamentally the supply may expire, right? I'm not going to be there to comment to that. So
you say it may expire, and I'm hearing this a lot. This skepticism around what actually happens when we get there. Why is that in the crypto community? Like, we're not really sure, right?
You're gonna be getting so little to mine that is it even worth it, right, Adrian?
Yeah, but I think there's a bigger question about, like, does this whole thing even work in the end? Is that true or no? I mean,
so does the S&P work or not? That's the same question.
Right? Well, supply doesn't stop coming on in the S&P. It works a little differently, right? Like the mechanics.
Well, Bitcoin is an excellent choice. Actually for a lot of CMTs. I was surprised, man. Jesus, that's such an excellent topic for a whole brand new discussion.
Yeah.
When I was in the CMT symposium, I'm heading to Dubai next month, by the way. When I was in the CMT symposium in New York, I was surprised how many CMTs and CFAs professionals were extremely prejudiced against Bitcoin. Not because it's whatever doing in a chart that they should be looking at. It's because they said it doesn't fit in the stock market model. It doesn't generate cash flow.
It's because they're not. It's because they weren't long, Adrian.
Exactly right.
It's almost like they forgot their CMC.
They're just a bunch of angry bastards.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So I'm trying to kind of like bring this voice of reasons to the crypto, to the CMT, to, hey, listen, maybe we should fight this, something that I called in this article with Jeff, the institutional bias, right? Full of aversion, full of denial, ignorance, full of this is all deliberate. They choose to be that, right? And I'm talking about the best professionals in the world.
To their credit, I talked to a lot of investors, professional PMs, and a lot of them, they might not be able to trade crypto during their day jobs, but for the A accounts, they've been in crypto for years and years and years. So let me tell you, watch what they say, watch what they do, not what they say. Trust me, behind the scenes, they're involved.
Probably.
I was talking to one of our clients just the other day, and he echoing some of these sentiments about, I won't touch it, I don't believe in it, it's a zero. I said, is there a chance you could be wrong? I said, yeah. I said, just maybe be open-minded and keep a tight stop, because if you're wrong, it's probably something you won't want to miss, right? Yeah. I think I kind of changed his mind. It could be that simple, right? Like, why hate something you really don't know about?
That's the question that I'm trying to, find the answer to myself.
At the end of the day, who cares if you're buying natural gas or Microsoft or Ethereum or Aussie yen? Who cares?
Or Magic Internet Money. Yeah.
Line go up. Good.
That's it. Number go up. So long story short, there is a lot of prejudice, a lot of bias that has nothing to do with rational. That I'm on a personal mission as the crypto native guy to kind of like just tackle a little bit. Right. And now we've got BlackRock on our side. So, so we'll see. Good thing is overall, like I said, keeping this point aside, is that the numbers are there. The numbers are there. It's superior to S&P in terms of the diversification, and superior to S&P in terms of the working capital, in terms of generating the returns. The volatility is there, but hey, that's why you have technical analysis, right? That's why you have this toolkit to manage the risk. I'm a trend follower, so I lose money for a living all the time, right? 70% of the time I get knocked out. However, Bitcoin is extremely generous with the trends, right? Because when they come, like you got so much whipsaws, you got so many whipsaws, you got so much noise. The noise level is so high. The trend saturation is so low that when it finally catches on and cracks me up like 50,000 times in a channel, and then when it finally catches on the track, something I spoke with Mike and Nas so many times, it really gives in all the tiny minor losses that I would account for. It really gives you on top of it, right? It really pays you back on top of it, and the margin is ridiculous, right? Show me S&P doing 50% on top of in one rally. Right, and then in like 2 months or something like so there is volatility. However, there is return side, and this return side cannot be argued. Right, those are trends, those are numbers, those are evidence-based numbers.
We tend to say volatility like it's a dirty word. It's like it's a bad word in finance, but the most volatile assets are also the same assets that you can make the most money in, right? By definition. So
you just don't put all your money in that, right? Like what's the problem? So does it work in the long term? To be honest, like I'm always honest. So I'm just gonna say that I don't care. Like I don't care. I'm not gonna be alive at that time, right? My job is to make money, and I'm not gonna hold on to Bitcoin for no matter what. This is an asset class to me, right? I have money, and I'm a big fan of metal gold. I'm a big fan of a physical silver as well, right? Big fan of cash. Always good to have some cash. Probably I'm a little bit underwriting myself on the cash side. I'm just too little on that. The real estate.
You really think Bitcoin is a separate asset class, or cryptocurrencies are a separate asset class, and not just further out on the risk curve of technology and software? Because the correlations have been relatively high. Short term, the correlations might not be as tight. But when you zoom out and the correlations continue to revert, like last year, the NASDAQ got going before Bitcoin caught up. So like when the correlations kind of, go their separate ways, they tend to come back pretty quickly. Do you really believe that it's a separate asset class?
Who said I would? I didn't say I believe.
Well, you said it's an asset class.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I'm just generally speaking.
That's
How
okay.
do you think about that?
I'm teasing you, JC. Don't worry. So asset class. So first of all, the asset class. It's all about agreement. It's all an institution, right? It's just two people shaking hands and say, "Hey, this is security and this is not," right? So as a matter of fact, we are following the regulatory framework, and it's okay. And in the name of regulatory framework, or in the light of regulatory framework, it's an asset class, right? It's a separate asset class. Call it to MiCA, the market in crypto assets. There's the regulation law, the whole regulation framework that came in earlier this year. Sorry, Jesus, 2024. Last year in May.
I'm still doing it too, Adrian. Don't worry.
To European Union, it just stepped in, and it gives you, and it erases all the business barriers between the traditional business and the crypto. And there's fluency, there is smoothness, which is good.
Now, for us, forget the communists and their theoretical things. For us who don't care about any of these laws and regulations and anything like that, we're just trying to make money.
Yeah.
You got Microsoft at 3 trillion, Apple at 3 trillion, Google at 1.9, crypto at 1.5, Amazon at 1.3, whatever it is. Like, seems to me like that's just part of those others.
Yeah, except that it's not centralized, right? Well, okay. I mean, okay, that's a good debate to be had. I agree.
Yeah.
Right. So it's so by the again.
I mean, it's not, but it is, but it's not.
Yeah. You got
becoming more and more centralized every day.
If only it could be more centralized.
Yeah. It could be. You got a point there, JC. I never thought of it this way. So maybe it's becoming centralized just a little bit. Maybe it's becoming an institution on its own eventually to be acquired by whoever. However, like I said, from my strictly financial perspective, I don't really care, if I flip Microsoft, if I care Apple, if I care. That's the beauty of technical analysis, that you don't have to care, because it's the chart, and the chart discounts all the available information, and it shows you the trends, regardless if it's a Dogecoin, shitcoin, whatever, or it's Bitcoin, or it's Amazon, right? So
for the record, that Dogecoin is worth more than a lot of other companies.
maybe that's why crypto is what it is, man.
And then also, Adrian, as technicians, we're comparing stocks to one another. We're comparing sectors to one another. We're looking for relative strength. I don't have to tell you how important that is. So throughout our work, when we're doing that sort of thing, what are we doing? Like, it's impossible for me as a practitioner and somebody who does this all day, every day, both for fun and for work, to look at a chart of high beta, low volatility and overlay Bitcoin and be like, they look the same, or the Qs or what, right? Like, from a relative strength standpoint, I can't ignore that. So, that's how we treat it, whether it's right or wrong. That's what we've been doing. It's actually worked out pretty well for us. You think that continues to persist? That relationship, those correlations, you think that continues?
Well, this seems to be the trend, and trends tend to continue, right? Don't they?
Preaching to the choir, baby. Preaching to the choir. See why we like Adrian? See, one of us.
Sounds like somebody watched that Charles Dow documentary.
Oh man. Oh man, so many incredible proficiencies, are to be spotted in crypto because they are purely technical. This is pure law of supply and demand. This is purely behavioral, right? So this very chart is not disturbed by the earnings, is not disturbed by the news events so much, as the S&P is, for instance, or the VIX is, or the dollar is by the FOMC and so on, right? So it's the purest technically available asset out there, and that should be the very case study for the CMTs to
Adrian, I agree 100% on all of that stuff, but I also say the same thing about the stock market, so maybe a little bit biased. This is the last question because the fun police is here. There are a lot of people that do argue that there are fundamentals behind this stuff, the Ethereum and the network that it's doing, whether some would argue they're doing it great, some would argue that they're doing it very poorly, that there's too much competition. There seems to be a fundamental conversation taking place. It doesn't take place on this show, but it's taking place. with a lot of friends of ours, by the way, people who I have a ton of respect for. So before you leave, you want to chime in on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fundamental guy, so maybe until I get CFA, hopefully, and then sometime.
Are you really going to go down that rabbit hole?
I want to see. The problem is that I don't know the numbers for myself. I don't know how much money I have, and it sucks because I don't have control over the specific detailed numbers, because I have to have the knowledge in the first place. CMT is just the first point to me, right? I want to gain the knowledge in order to control money in such a fashion that is quantifiable and that is as rich as possible in the tools that I have, right? Technicals is cool. Fundamentals is cool. Like if you attended a CMT symposium, so maybe let's try a little bit of that fusion analysis.
CMTs have way better parties than CFAs.
That's something probably that I fact. That's something that I'm not gonna argue. Regardless, the fundamentals. The fundamentals in terms of, well, strictly cryptos rather than the macroeconomic side of that, macrofinance side of that. There are fundamentals, right? The fundamental is the fundamentally imprinted scarcity into the digital assets. That's one thing. So the regulating the circulating supply and the whole tokenomics side is a little bit of the fundamental play itself. You've got the on-chain analytics, tracking the wallet address.
Yeah, but that's technical.
That's not even technical. That's separate. That's on-chain.
It's 100% technical, Adrian. 100% technical. It's the study of the behavior of the market. It's the study of the behavior of the market. It's 100% technical.
I mean, again, maybe interesting discussion to be had.
That is an interesting discussion to be had.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a different take to it, though. Maybe we talk.
We're doing this tomorrow. Let's go.
Dear Lord.
That's okay. That's okay. So you got on chain. You see a lot of those. The fundamental side, and that is not the cash flow per se. Is the utility behind any
like thinking about like what Vitalik is going to do next and this and that, like that's more fundamental side. No,
fuck this. No, this is news. This is gamble. This is noise.
That's just noise.
Right? Fundamental is the utility behind, let's say, Ethereum platforms, right? That you can build decentralized assets, the decentralized apps, right? That you can literally scale and build on top of the blockchain. And hey, the banks have been using blockchain since 27, maybe not 70s, but the biggest banks basically have the Visa. Most, if not all, the Visa transactions are working based on the blockchain, basically based on the Ethereum blockchain, if I'm not mistaken, to be the public ledger for what it is, right? Decentralized public ledger. So you have the utility in that, and that utility brings the fundamentals, and so it's valuable because of its utility. It's because of it's value based, right? It's like this utilitarian approach, basically, right? So this is what drives the value. And then on top of that, you've got the companies that can be using blockchain, that can be using tokenization of the real world assets is a very hot theme right now. Tokenizing real world assets is a very, very big utility that's making illiquid things liquid, right? So I'm working right now with a tokenized hedge fund that Michael Noss is very familiar with. It's called Nomad Fulcrum as well, right? Those are our partners, great people, very smart people. Nomad Fulcrum, and they are tokenized hedge fund. Tokenized hedge fund means that when you have minimum requirement to park 5-10 mil on a fund and freeze it for a year or whatever, it's illiquid. You cannot get it out. If you want to get it out, it's not only very difficult, you very often have to pay penalties for that, right? And tokenizing that means accessing the big, like, it doesn't matter if 10 million comes from one person and 10 million comes from 10 million people, each $1 basically in. Right? It's the same money. There's no bias. It's agnostic. This is one and the same dollar. So, it's making illiquid things liquid by letting all the people, giving them access to participate in the hedge fund, basically, right? So there are so many incredible utilities that are making, I fully agree, JC, they're making the contribution to this technological advancement that we have, right? That is just another angle, is just another benefit of this technology that we've built, AI, blockchain, all of that comes together, right? So there is only utility, and that utility drives the fundamentals, right? And then on top of that, we jump on the bandwagon and pump the so shit goes to the heaven anyway.
Ha ha ha! Nice. I like
That's
how you
what it
ended
is.
that.
It's all gravy. All right, Adrian Zunic, I hope I got that right. This has been tremendous. Thank
You
you
got it
so
very
much.
well.
Thanks,
All right,
We can
Adrian.
do this. We can do this all day. So if you want to call me tomorrow, we can keep going. So
Yeah.
I mean, you'll
Thanks
get
for
tired of
hanging
me.
out. Thanks for hanging out for a while.
Thanks,
you,
Spencer.
Adrian. Oh,
Thanks, Steve.
Adrian,
Thanks,
be
Steve.
careful with that, like
be safe.
Formula
Be
1
safe,
ice
please.
racing.
Oh, let's see. Let's see. Let's see what
Crazy,
happens.
bro.
I have no idea what I'm into, man.
Have fun.
All right.
Sounds like fun.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
God bless everybody.
If anybody
All right.
thought that we were in a bear market, they're racing Formula 1 cars on ice in the Alps. That is not bear market behavior right there.
I need to take 5, closing some things out here. Took some profits in DraftKings calls that we talked about last week or the week before. Put that into Mara and some more Snapchat calls. I'll be back in 5 minutes, guys.
Go. Hit it.
Oh, he's making moves. We got a lot popping off here at the Open.
All right, talk to me. What do you got?
Someone in the chat asked if the Mara squeeze is back. It's a bit of a stretch, but it did stop going down for the moment.
The answer is yes.
All right. Well, it's up. What is that? 8% today.
To the moon.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I like it. Remember, we talked about it this week. Like, let it consolidate, let it figure itself out. Buy the breakout. I think you just got it.
There was a headline this morning on Spirit related to the JetBlue thing. So Spirit's going to be down. What are they down now? So 14% on that. What else?
Why does everybody care so much about Spirit? Why does that matter?
There's a natural bias towards consumer-facing companies, of what Spirit Airlines is. Like, how many people really interact day to day, or know that they interact with like Twilio or even AMD or Nvidia? Maybe with if you're a computer nerd, but like, people interact with Spirit. They know Spirit. They see Spirit. They see the ads.
Spirit?
Right?
I don't know anybody who's ever flown that.
You know me. I've flown Spirit.
Why?
It is because they are exactly what they say they are. They are a cheap airline. If you want to get from point A to point B as cheaply as possible, you fly Spirit Airlines. I don't like it. I every time I fly Spirit, I say this is the last time. And I haven't flown Spirit now. It's probably been a couple years for me since I've flown Spirit.
Can't fly that.
But yeah, we are, everyone, it's a well-known company. There are only so many airlines in this country. And so, public facing. That's why it's not the same as like, Twilio.
Can you tell me what's going on? Why isn't it in the news these days? What's everyone all geeked up about? The Barstool guys
today?
buying it? Like, there's got to be something else.
What, Spirit Airlines?
Yeah.
No, they gave notice, or JetBlue gave notice to them related to the like termination of their merger. So the DOJ blocked it, and now JetBlue is saying here, I'll pull up the exact comment for you. JetBlue informed Spirit Airlines that certain conditions to closing the merger may not be satisfied prior to the date set forth. So basically, on or after Sunday, JetBlue is saying no. We are officially going to terminate this merger. Is how I interpret this headline to be. So, and it's more of the same. Honestly, the price action speaks for itself from the past few weeks. A lot of crypto miners doing things today. Mara, Hut 8, which I haven't talked about for quite some time. What else do I have here? Like I said, I'm interested in Intel. Just want to see the different forces at work there. Booz Allen had some nice earnings this morning, up 12%.
Great name.
Booz Allen Hamilton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Government contracts, good business to be in. What else do I have? No, not much really jumps out. Kind of a quiet day.
Bitcoin up 1,400 points. Are you not entertained?
Yeah. No, I mean, Bitcoin is doing. Yeah, Bitcoin is. Yes, I do see that. It's good.
Are you adding to your Doge position, Spencer?
No. Should I add to my Bitcoin position? I haven't bought Bitcoin. I think I bought it. I don't know, a month ago.
I don't give advice.
I know. No. I could be interested in buying more. I don't know.
Warren Buffett. You want to just hit the hot corner quick and let's talk about this Warren Buffett situation?
We did have a Buffett.
He's buying this media company.
Second time. Yep.
hot right now.
All right, so I think it was 2 weeks ago. Berkshire Hathaway first bought shares in Liberty Sirius XM. It was explained to us in the chat on that day. This is the radio properties, basically for the Formula One radio properties. Oh, sorry, Steve. So that's what Berkshire is buying here. The radio properties owned by Formula One. So that's why it's Sirius, because it's radio, but it's Formula One's channels, so to speak.
And does this get back to Warren Buffett kind of just investing in things that won't change, investing in things that aren't going away? Is this part of that theme, you think?
I don't know, man. Radio?
I think that's more legend than reality.
What do you mean?
He's really come around, used to hear stuff like never tech about Warren Buffett. A lot of that's not true. I think somebody
is Apple tech?
Apple, listen, it's some kind of tech, yes.
You know what I mean? Like, do they use technology? Yes. But is it tech per se?
The point is, the guy's not only buying textile companies. Okay, that's myth.
Oh, railroads, insurance.
Of course, we have no way of knowing if this is like a quote unquote Warren Buffett idea or if this is one of the other guys, because he has lieutenants, right? And these are the guys that are going to take over for him when he, passes. So there's just no way to know.
Listen, it's nice when Warren Buffett comes on our list. I wouldn't think too much about this one. We've talked about it twice now in the course of a week. EWTX, though. Edgewise Therapeutics, Orbimed Advisors, $5 million purchase. This is one of those biotechs that has already completed the reversal. The path of least resistance is now higher. It's right about, in our world of stocks that we pay attention to, just about at $1 billion in cap. It looks like a biotech bull would hope IBB or XBI looks like.
Yes, thank you very much. Absolutely nailed it. It looks like IBB and XBI before the breakout, 100%.
That's right. So, we talked about this because we have some biotech fans, at our Portfolio Accelerator. We talked about this just the other day. XBI, IBB at the index level, probably not quite ready, right? You could liken it to something like IWM or ARC. The base hasn't completed yet. However, that's not to say there aren't IWM or ARC or XBI components beneath the surface that have completed the reversal and are in new uptrends, and we can dabble in those. EWTX falls into that category right now. So I like this name a lot. I like seeing the big buy. This is a sizable buy. These guys already involved, adding to a position. This is now on my biotech list.
Here, throw up slide 1, Spencer Israel. Here you go. This is what we're talking about here. Look at that. Woo-wee! And who are these guys, Strazza?
Orbimed?
Yeah.
From biopharmaceuticals to medical devices and digital health, Orbimed is scouting the globe for innovations that will They are a healthcare investment shop.
Yada yada yada. Right. That's what they do.
Orbimed is considered to be one of the largest dedicated healthcare investment firms in the world. I'm telling you, we've been telling you, these biotech investment companies are coming out in a big way this year. We saw it late last year, whether it's Baker Bros or Perceptive or Orbimed. These guys are really getting involved. And I think, when you look at this almost reversal at the for the indexes in biotech, and then you see some of the smart money really getting involved here, like to see it.
How smart is this money?
Huh?
How smart is this money? $5 million?
Oh, you're gonna. Okay, great.
Hey, look, it speaks to the cash on the sidelines. If all these funds are just bam, 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 right?
$5 million. Is that a lot, Strazza, you think?
I could tell you how much they own. It's not a little.
It depends on the size of the fund, doesn't it, JC?
Yes.
Yeah, you're overthinking it. That is large, objectively large for a Form 4, period. Yes.
Because it's a Form 4, but it's a hedge fund. It's not a Form 4 like an executive.
But you're missing it because
Am I?
on. Yeah, because they already have a sizable position. They're adding. Hold on.
Well, it's all relative, right? I mean, what was the Berkshire purchase here? $13 million. Is that a
I'm
Piker
gonna get
purchase?
you guys your numbers. So EWTX is about 5% of OrbiMed's portfolio. It is their second largest holding.
Now that is interesting, right? That's more interesting than the 5 milli, right?
I told you it was a very sizable position. I had to give you the exact number of how large it was to them.
Yes.
Okay. So now you know it's their second largest position. Their largest is just over 7% of their portfolio. So this is definitely up there. They own 225 million.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking, right? Strazza? No.
A massive stake, almost a quarter of the outstanding shares, and they're buying more. So
They're buying more on this breakout.
A lot.
I get it. I mean that I like.
Been involved, however, in a big way since first quarter of 2021. So it's not new.
All right. I respect it.
Um,
Solid purchase. Not a
interesting
Piker
question.
purchase.
Interesting question from One Hole about drawdowns. Are there stats on drawdowns for different hedge funds? I don't know. Like how much drawdown they're willing to take, or
Yeah, Deerfield, Joe.
I don't know.
Another big bio investor. Yep, totally.
Steve, did you want to talk about this IPO we got this week?
I know nothing about it. I haven't had time, but if you want to give me some
Yeah.
info, we can shoot the shit. I'm excited because these e-commerce stocks are great.
IPOs are
it's
back,
nothing like-
baby. Don't look now. Don't look now.
Don't look now. Well, we got a Kazakh fintech conglomerate. It's the super app of Kazakhstan.
Love it.
The ticker here is it's KazP is the name of the company, and the ticker is KSPI. And this company started off as a bank. This was a bank in the late 2000s, and now what do? Now they do banking, lending, payments, e-commerce, tax filing, license renewals, flight tickets. I think that's most of it. So they're kind of like the everything app for Kazakhstan.
What's the ticker again?
But they have like KSPI. Did I get that right? I think so. They have like no revenue though. They have like 13 million users, and I'm seeing revenue for last year of like $2.6 million. So they just raised a billy.
Why does my data provider call them Joint Stock Company? That's not their name, right?
Joint stocks?
No.
Are you not seeing that?
Like blunt stocks? But
It says Joint Stock Company. It's a terrible name.
Well, it could be what's that company that that just went public?
Instacart.
And it was like under
Maple Bear.
under yeah.
Maple
Yeah, right, exactly. It could be like that.
Which don't look now, but Maple Bear tested its IPO VWAP last week, and it looks like it's going to give another go at it. And we might be looking at this one soon, saying, "Wow, what a nice base."
Oh, Joe, okay, my mistake. I saw million, but apparently it is billion in revenue. All right, that makes me feel a lot better then. 2.8 billion in revenue.
All right, they got
Cool,
revenue. Spencer gives them the green light. His fundamental screener approves this one.
not a pod stock, not a shit coin, not a SPAC. You know, we're filtering out the nonsense,
Hey,
right?
fintech, baby.
The point is, whether it's Jumaya in Africa or C Limited in Southeast Asia, or Shopify in Canada, or Mercado Libre in Latin America, or name any of the ones from out in China, these companies are exciting, and a lot of them become massive secular leaders, right? You know,
They are conglomerates in their markets.
Yeah.
America doesn't have that, but these smaller economies do.
and as long
for
as
one company.
like you said, 13 million users, right? As long as operationally they're run well, these guys are tackling monster markets in emerging economies. You know, Amazon has already matured here in the US. So I find these a lot more exciting. You know,
The population of Kazakhstan is 19 million people.
right.
And they have 13 million users.
Everybody uses it, is what you're saying. And
So
C Limited
19 million people in Kazakhstan? That many?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sea Limited is no different in Southeast Asia. Mercado Libre, Alphonse will tell you, very popular. So we're looking for the next, Melly or the next Amazon. So it's exciting, we get new listings in this space. It's a bet on the consumer, right, in these emerging economies, and it's probably one of the cleanest bets you could make. Again, though, the companies have to be run properly.
But there's different groups. Remember, we talked about it over the week. You got Amazon and Mercado Libre in one group, and then you got Sea Limited and the shitty China one, and right.
Had a nice conversation.
The African one. They all suck.
Had a good conversation with our close friend from Singapore. He joined us at Omakase, and he said Sea Limited used to be a huge stake by Tencent in Sea Limited, and for whatever reason, it's just always traded with Chinese tech, right? And it still is, even though Tencent cashed out and doesn't have that position anymore. So I kind of like stories like that, like the market is still kind of realizing and figuring out like what this really is. But maybe it's being capped by the weakness in China recently. I'm interested. I'm involved in that one.
See?
See? Yeah, I'm in it to win it. When I got into Shopify in 2022, it looked very similar to Sea Limited today.
I got a fun recess. Hit it. All right, ready? So I went to Disney on Ice on Sunday, and first of all, it was awesome, like so good. Even for adults, there's like aerial acrobatics and stuff like that, like it was like a Vegas show. Highly recommend Disney on Ice. It was sick. But here's the funniest part: like they would introduce new characters throughout the thing, right? Like throughout like the whole show, and like when Buzz Lightyear came on, it was like if Stone Cold Steve Austin, like they play the music and he comes ice skating out and the whole arena goes wild, like Buzz Lightyear, oh! And he comes like blasting out of the thing, and like and Woody comes out, it's like Woody, and like all the music is playing. Honestly, it was like WWF.
This is on ice, you said?
It's on ice. But like there's like a you know how like in WWF there's like one part where they all come out of?
Yeah.
And then they go back in after each like event or whatever.
When did you go?
Sunday.
Wow. WWE just had big news, right? They were ringing the bell while we were in New York.
There's a few different headlines about WWE in the last few days. Some good, some not good. But the one you're talking about is, this Netflix deal.
Jay Woods was hanging out with The Rock at Nicey.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Bottom line is, if you're a wrestling fan, you basically have to have Netflix now. Is the bottom line. So, my recess is, if you're looking for a new show, the new season of True Detective we're 2 episodes in. It is great.
You think so?
It's fantastic. Yeah. I'm loving it. It's got Jodie Foster. It's got the same air of like sort of like supernatural mysticism of season 1, but it's a murder mystery drama. So it's awesome. So can't recommend that enough. I'm loving it.
You have to kind of get used to Jodie Foster's accent and manliness. I fell asleep halfway through the second one.
She always had like a thick accent, but did she push it harder for this one?
It's like a Minnesota accent, but like an angry, like manly one. It's good though. Yeah, I'm enjoying it too, Spencer. I'm with you.
Yeah,
all right,
definitely big fan. All right, hey, it's Friday, so of course, last show of the week. We will be recording a What the Fic a little later. We'll be posting the newest episode as well later today as well for What the Fic. And that's what I got. So everyone, thanks for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, do me a quick solid, hit the thumbs up button, please and thank you. And we'll catch you guys on Monday morning. Just to give you guys a quick teaser, next week on the show, we've got, in no particular order, Jared Dillian, we've got Dean Christians, we've got John Kalovos, David Rath, Justin Spittler. So we got some new names on the show next week. It's gonna be a good week. Thanks to our guest today, Adrian Zduńczyk. Thanks to all of you for watching, and I guess go make some money.
Love it. All right, guys. Adios.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Run it. I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit